Welcome in. This is Talking Tide. This is the post-game show for Alabama versus Georgia. The Crimson Tide go into Athens and pull off a 24-21 win over the Georgia Bulldogs. It was a fantastic weekend overall for Bama sports in the way of Auburn lost, Tennessee almost lost, LSU lost. There's a lot to get to in today's show. First things first, I would like to implore you, please subscribe. This YouTube channel is something I'm trying to get off the ground this year, do a lot better job of posting despite my lack of post last week. I have my own excuses for that. But please do like, please subscribe, please hit the little share and the bell notification. We do live videos every once in a while, and you don't want to miss those. All right. First things first, we will talk. I want to talk a little bit about kind of what's going on in the SEC. SEC play is starting to heat up now. AP poll is kind of all over the place, but eventually we will get to the championship committee where we're going to start actually getting rankings that really matter. But a couple of games that I have my eye on this week, most of them being SEC, other than Oregon beating Penn State in a whiteout game. I actually didn't get to watch that game. I was playing a golf tournament till about 4:30 in the afternoon. So unfortunately, I missed a lot of games, but I went back and watched what I could. First things first, I want to say this. I didn't watch much of the game. Auburn is awful. Their offense specifically. Defense played an okay game against Texas A&M, but that offense is dead on arrival. They are seriously struggling. I want to say they had 4 yards in that entire fourth quarter. And their defense played a good football game, but I had said it after the Baylor game. Whenever Auburn comes up against a team that has a legitimate defensive line, they will struggle because Jackson Arnold cannot throw the football, and we know this, but he can use his legs very well. If there's a team that's going to contain him and keep him pinned into the pocket and force him to throw the ball, they will struggle, and we've seen that against Texas A&M this past weekend. Next game, similar situation. LSU really, really struggled offensively against Ole Miss. Here's the thing. I have a real sour spot for Brian Kelly. Most of you will have seen his post-game interview against Florida whenever the defense got 5 interceptions and they put up a total of 20 points. You bought yourself 5 extra possessions and only scored 20 points with it. This past weekend, they put up 19 against LSU. Maybe you actually realize that the offense is the problem. I didn't actually finish that story. He went in and got really upset with a reporter after they asked him if he thought that his offense struggled a little bit, and he went on this little tangent saying, "Oh, well, come on, guys, we won the game. We got 5 turnovers, yada, yada, yada. We won. What do you want?" Well, we want offensive production if you're LSU. And here again, we see they lack it. They put up 19 points, 1 less point than they put up against Florida. I wonder if he realizes that his offense is a problem now. I really don't like Brian Kelly. Ole Miss got a good win there. Tennessee struggled to get past Mississippi State. Now, I didn't watch much of this game. I was watching a lot of the LSU game, and I was driving. I was listening to the games. So I only had one game on at a time. I got to kind of peek in at Tennessee, Mississippi State at times. Tennessee struggled, man. I thought Mississippi State should have won that game. There was a couple things that could have happened that could have got them over the line, but I don't know if it means Mississippi State is legit or if Tennessee is kind of questioning themselves after that Georgia loss. Arkansas fall to Notre Dame, and on the back of that, Sam Pittman has been relieved of duty at Arkansas. It was coming. Arkansas is just not a very good football team, and I just don't think Pittman is the guy to get him out of the hole. So Arkansas fall to Notre Dame, and South Carolina beat Kentucky. That's not really much of a surprise. South Carolina, not the giant that I thought they were going to be this year, but Kentucky going to be competing with Arkansas for one of the worst teams in the SEC this year. I think that's about it for our SEC coverage. Again, before we get into the Bama stuff, please do like, please subscribe, hit that little bell notification so you know when we go live. All right, first things first. I always start off with this. We do the injury report first. So most of you saw the game. Quay Russo comes out of the game. Don't actually remember when it was. Maybe third or fourth quarter. It had been deemed in the press conference, or DeBoer said in the press conference that he has a broken foot. He'll be out for an extended period of time. Not season ending, but he will have surgery on that foot. So I thought I saw a number that said 4 or so weeks. I don't want to say that specifically, but that was kind of the speculation. We don't really know what break in his foot. We know it's a broken foot, but we don't know, what is broken in his foot and what kind of surgery it will require. So I saw 4 weeks somewhere. I'm not going to. I'm not a doctor. I'm not going to say that's the exact return time, but it will be an extended period of time, but not out for the season. John Marie Latham, he's out for the season. We saw last week that he got a neck injury. Pretty scary stuff, to be honest. Just really glad he's okay. They took him to the hospital. He has feeling in all of his extremities, able to move his fingers, all that good stuff. So that's good, but he will be done for the season following that injury. Okay, let's get down to what everybody wants to talk about. Alabama 24, Georgia 21. In Athens, Bama breaks Georgia's home winning streak. I want to start off with this. We're going to talk about the offense. We're going to talk about the defense. We're going to talk about Ty Simpson. We're going to talk all about all that good stuff. First things first, I want to talk about Kalen DeBoer. And I think DeBoer finally gets it. There were times last season and this season when we played against Florida State, I was very concerned for Kalen DeBoer. I'll put this out there early. I like Kalen DeBoer. I think he's a good head coach. We see it with his record against top 5 teams or top 10 teams. Good head coach. I didn't know if he understood the SEC landscape. I think he's come to grips with what it takes to be an SEC head coach. We saw it a little bit in the past couple weeks against ULM and against Wisconsin. Getting angry even though things are going well, really kind of grinding in on the details. Even though you may be winning games, it's not all hunky-dory, that kind of stuff. We saw it a lot with Nick Saban, obviously, but I think Kalen DeBoer is finally getting to that point where he's not the same guy that we had seen last season and not the same guy we saw against Florida State. This team is not the same team we saw against Florida State. The improvement from week 1 to week 5 is tremendous. If you would have put 11 white jerseys out there against Florida State, nondescript jerseys, I would never have told you that was Bama because we have a higher standard than that. But also, if you would have put that same team against Georgia this weekend, they do not look like the same team at all. The improvement week to week has been impressive, but it's one thing to play against ULM and it's one thing to play against Wisconsin. But the big step up in competition and to stand up to that level is highly, highly impressive. I give a lot of credit to Kalen DeBoer and this team. I think he finally understands it. And now we go play Vanderbilt this week. That's a big revenge game, a lot of emotional game. So we'll see how that plays out. But I think he's finally understanding it now. The effort, the focus, the execution, the preparation, all of it was miles better than the Florida State game. And they said we practiced well for the Florida State game. They didn't show us anything we didn't expect, yada, yada, yada. I take that with a grain of salt, but the preparation, the focus, the execution, it was so much better this week. And it has been good for the past 3 weeks. But doing it at such a high level after coming off of genuinely one of the most embarrassing losses a couple weeks ago that I've ever seen is seriously impressive. Full credit to Kalen DeBoer, full credit to this team. We'll get to start off with the offense. And we're talking about coaches. I want to talk about Ryan Grubb. And Ryan Grubb, along with Kalen DeBoer, deserves so much credit. Came in the offseason. I'll be honest, he was kind of a pantomime villain. Whenever we got a chance to go to the signing day party whenever Kalen DeBoer was hired, listen to Ryan Grubb talk, excited to see him and see what he can do with this offense. And then he leaves for Seattle. So you kind of feel like he got a little bit of rug pulled at that time. Comes back under a lot of applause, but people were kind of questioning, is this our guy? Can he get it done? And let me tell you, this is a lot of hyperbole, but I genuinely believe his offensive playbook may be more effective than a guy like Steve Sarkisian. And Steve Sarkisian, along with Lane Kiffin, probably top 2, top 3 coordinators in the country as far as offense goes. Definitely some of the best that Bama's ever had. I think that his preparation and his playbook with the team that he has around Ty Simpson is fantastic. It's the best in the country. The effectiveness, the execution of plays, the putting the guys in the right spots, getting the right pieces. And you don't have all the right pieces. That offensive line is broken up at times. A lot of injuries, running back problems, but he makes it work. He finds the right pieces and puts them in the right spots at the right times, and we get it done. And we get it done very effectively. We saw that last a couple nights ago against Georgia. So full credit to Ryan Grubb. I love his playbook. I think that his trust in Ty Simpson especially, and also Jermaine Burton as well is immense. The respect he has for those guys and the respect that they have for him is insanely high. We see Jerm getting involved in almost everything in the playbook, throwing the ball, running the ball, catching passes. He does it all. He's a great utility guy. The trust he has in Ty. We said it on fourth down, or on that third down play in the fourth quarter to win the game. He grabbed Ty and said, whatever you want to run for this play, run it. I trust you. He trusts that guy so much. It's Ty Simpson's second start in an away game. And it just felt like he said, you know what, Ty? Whatever play you want to run, I have faith in you. Let's run it. And they ran it, got a first down, won the football game. The respect and the gelling between Ty and Ryan Grubb is insane. And we saw it in the offseason. Ryan Grubb has super high praise for Ty Simpson, saying he's the perfect guy to take us forward. And he's shown that tenfold. So huge credit to Ryan Grubb. I do want to talk about Ty Simpson as well. We've said it in the past couple of weeks, and it's been against lesser opponents like Wisconsin and ULM, but I just don't know how to say it enough. The dude is so impressive. His timing, his pocket presence, his movement, his accuracy, his anticipation, his ball placement, his game IQ, his game management. It's so impressive. And it's so frustrating that people don't see it. There have been talks now after beating Georgia. You're going to get plaudits. You're going to get a lot of people talking good about you. But this dude should be top of the Heisman. He should be top of the Heisman rankings right now. He is so impressive in everything he does. And we saw a new facet of it this past weekend. The ability to communicate and get guys in the right spot when that stadium is loud and that stadium is rocking. Those first couple drives, we had to burn some timeouts, yes, but he got those guys on time. He got them in the right spots. He made adjustments. He read the defense so well. That was a new facet we hadn't seen yet. He had an away game against Florida State, but it was a little bit of a different situation where I feel like much of it was more scripted. Now that Ty has the trust of the offensive coordinator, he can go out there. He can make adjustments on the fly when he wants to, when he makes good reads. He sees what the defense gives him, and he does a great job of it. So the fact that he was able to go out there and do it in Athens is just so impressive. And you stack all that on top of all the other plaudits that he has, the dude should be number one in Heisman voting. And that should not even be controversial. If you go out and you actually watch this guy play football, especially in person, there is nobody more impressive that I've watched this year. There's nobody I've watched that's more impressive since Bryce Young. The dude is incredible to watch play in person. Couple other guys I want to talk about too. Germ, obviously, Jeremy Bernard is the number one guy underneath Ty Simpson. Ryan Grubb loves running his offense through Germ. He's done a great job this year of getting him involved in different plays. We've got him involved in the run game. He catches a lot of balls. He's the go-to guy. He is the number one guy that Ty is going to be looking for as this season goes forward. We talked about at the beginning of the season. We need that 1,000-yard guy this year. He will be that guy. So huge credit to Germ. Another person I want to talk about, Isaiah Horton. Now, Isaiah's gone a little bit under the radar these first couple games, but this game he really came into his own. He found his spot in this game. I think that Grubb really knew that guys like Williams and Germ were going to get locked down at times. Georgia's defense is not a slouch. We all know this. So there's going to be times where those number one and number two guys you can't get the ball to, and that's where Isaiah came in. He did a fantastic job, made a couple of tough catches. That on the first drive, he made an important catch to try and convert a first down, or convert from a third to a first down. He's been really impressive, and I think he will grow into this game, or grow into the season even more. Big body guy, red zone threat, can block. He did a great job this past weekend. Another guy we got to talk about, obviously, Caden Proctor. Dude lit up the internet. He was everywhere after catching that football, nearly scoring. Also, shout out Jam Miller. He got run over by Caden Proctor in that play. Got up, took it like a champ. So shout out Jam Miller. I love that. That's one of the things where, and Ryan Grubb said in his press conference after, he trusts these guys. There is no way you would have seen him throw a ball to a 375-pound offensive lineman if he did not trust him. And it's getting the feeling of this season like these guys trust each other. Those guys, the guys in front of Caden wanted to block for him. They wanted him to score a touchdown. Whenever we scored that little in reverse screen against Wisconsin, guys wanted to block downfield. They wanted us to score on that play. The trust and the want and the togetherness in this team is very, very high. We're doing a very good job of gelling off of each other. We're doing a good job of just being a team. And that's something we've been a little bit fractured in the past at times, not outwardly so, but there's felt like there's been some fractures in the past. But this team is really gelling. They want to work for each other. And especially after week one, nobody was on the same page. This team now, they want to work for each other. They want each other to succeed. And again, I think that's a huge credit to what Ryan Grubb and Kalen DeBoer have done with this program so far this year. Also, the O-line play in general, huge shout out to them. Did a great job of giving Ty time. I think that I did some looking up on the stats. I got told this, and I didn't quite believe it, I'll be honest. The Georgia defensive line, just the defensive line, has had 0 sacks this year. Not a single one. They had, I say this. The defense as a whole had 1 sack yesterday. They've had 4 before that game. So they have 5 total now. So Georgia's defense, maybe not as impressive as it has been in the past, but the offensive line did a fantastic job of giving Ty time to make plays. He got rushed once or twice. There was that one on, we were deep in our own territory, third quarter, I believe, and he got rushed pretty quick, had to dump a ball pretty high, tried to hit Germ in stride, but couldn't hit him. That was really the only time I can remember Ty taking any kind of pressure. It was that, and then the weird 4th down call. I don't really know what happened with that. There was a miscommunication there somewhere, but they did a great job of giving him time. There's something that's a little bit underrated in offensive line play as well. The communication between each other is so important. And this team is, like I said, has a togetherness now, especially on that offensive line. They know what each other's going to do. Georgia tried to pull out all the stops. They pulled stunts and twists and pulled out some exotic blitzes to try and get pressure on this offensive line and break up some of that communication. They did an awesome job of keeping Ty safe. They did a good job of giving him time to make reads and make plays happen in the pocket. So huge shout out to the offensive line. They did a fantastic job this past weekend. Another big thing, Jam did make his return. It wasn't the return that we necessarily wanted. The run game in itself is something we need to talk about as a negative. That'll be in the negative portion of our offense. But the good thing that we did, and Ryan Grubb has done a good job with us ever since the Florida State game, is we played balanced. We didn't just go straight to throwing the ball. And there were times where it felt a little bit stale and a little bit conservative when we were up big. But overall, we did a good job of balancing the offense. We used runs when we needed to. We could get 2 to 3, maybe 4 yards at a time, which is effective on first down. It gives you opportunities to go forward from there and drop a couple of different plays. We did a good job of supplementing screen passes, especially in that first half. We pulled off some screen passes that were very effective, which we always talk about as an extension of the run game, whether it's dump passes in the flat or screen passes underneath, stuff like that, where it's an extension of the run game. It's stuff that can start in the backfield but move forward if you plan it well. And Grubb did a good job of timing up some really well executed screens in that first half. Georgia made adjustments. They slowed it down in the second half, but again, we did a very good job of staying balanced as an offense. We made them respect the run, and then we threw the ball well when we needed to. I think I looked up the stats. We had 39 rushing attempts and then 39 passes. So that's balanced. I love to see that. And there is a negative to be said about the run game. We'll talk a little bit about that here in a minute. Also, effectiveness on third downs. The most impressive display on third down I have ever seen. Not just from Bama, but from anybody. And as a Bama fan, we feel this. Whenever your defense cannot get off the field on third down, it is a problem. And we ate that defense up. We wore them out. I think we were 8 for 8 at one point on third down conversions. We ended up 13 for 19. That is such a good hit rate. And again, we got a little conservative in the second half where we didn't have the hit rate wasn't quite as high, but we were averaging, there was one point I saw the stat come, but we had 5.5 yards to go on third down, and we were 8 for 8. Like, that is such an impressive stat. That is so demoralizing for a defense when they cannot get off the field on third down, especially when we're not running the ball well and they still can't get off the field on third down. That is so demoralizing for a defense, and it wears them down, man. It wears them down. It wears the crowd down. Every time on third down, that crowd's going to be as loud as it can be, but they can only do it for so long. So they did a fantastic job of managing third downs and getting the yards when they needed to. That was something that was very impressive from this team as a whole. We executed well when we needed to, both on offense and on defense, and we'll talk about the defense here in a minute. But the offense did a fantastic job of being efficient on third downs. Again, full credit to the offensive line, Ryan Grubb, Ty Simpson, Germ, all the receiving core. We did what we needed to at the right times, and that's what you got to do. You got to win in those small moments. It was something I talked a ton about whenever we went to play Georgia in that SEC championship a couple of years ago. They were so effective on third down coming into that game. But if you go out there and you can win on third down, you can beat them. And we did that then, and we did that this week. So full credit to the offense on that. A few negatives I did have for the offense was the lack of run game. In my head, I wanted to say if we had 150 yards of running offense, I think we would win that game fairly comfortably. Not comfortably, but I think we would have won that game solidly. I think if our run game put up 150 yards, we would be in really good shape to win that game. We only put up about 117 with 3.1 per carry. Now, not effective enough. It needs to be better, but again, we did a good job of supplementing screen passes and stuff underneath that help complement the run game, and we ran it when we needed to at times. So, but it was also huge to have Jam back. So he did some very good things off the ball, caught the pass that won the game. So we did a very good job of supplementing our running backs into the passing game. I think Kevin Riley got a couple catches also. So it's not what we need in offensive production. We definitely have to improve on that. And whether that's down to offensive line play, it's down to running backs hitting gaps harder, getting out quicker, coming up with some better schemes. We just have to improve on that week to week going forward, especially now that you have your number one guy back. A big negative we have to talk about, and I always hate to do it, but we have to talk about Ryan Williams. Now, there's a caveat to this where I'm not saying Ryan Williams as a whole was a negative on this game, but the first thing that everybody saw was him dropping that touchdown pass. And he's had problems with drops so far this year. It's something that has to be worked on, especially in big moments like that. I will say that I think the fact that he dropped it in that moment almost helped us a little bit because we could work our offense down the field and drain some time off the clock, wear that defense down, and then we put up 7 points anyway. But if that drive goes and stalls out and we say, well, we missed the touchdown, easy 7 points, that's a problem. If it comes down to big games and big moments like that, we can't be having drops like that from I was going to say our number one guy. Germ's our number one guy, but we can't be having that from one of our superstars. That has to improve. There was also some criticisms about him blocking at times, just kind of avoiding contact, things like that. He's a small dude, but we've had guys in the past, guys like Devontae Smith, small guys out there blocking, working hard for the team, and that's everybody has to buy in kind of thing. Everybody has to buy into what everybody else is doing, and if we don't, that's how a team becomes fractured. So I just want to see that improvement from Ryan Williams week to week. And look, everybody has struggles, right? Everybody struggles at times. And I'm not going to say he's not the guy that we know he is. We look at guys like Bray Hubbard we're going to talk about, where you have a lot of controversy against you and everybody's looking at you, and rightly so. I mean, he makes a lot of money. He's a superstar. He played a fantastic game against Georgia last year and had a chance to start it up this week and didn't have his best. He did make some important catches. The catch he made on third down that moved the game forward late in the fourth quarter also should have been a targeting call. We'll talk about the referees here in a minute also. Should have 100% been a targeting call on the Georgia defender, but good on Ryan Williams for absorbing some contact, getting a first down. But it's just something we need to see improved on week to week. Only other thing I had a little bit of not necessarily a problem with, but one thing I did not like that was a bit of a repeat of last year was conservative play calling. Last year, Bama goes up huge on Georgia at home. We rein in the play calling a little bit, trying not to make any mistakes and give Georgia the opportunity to come back, and they eventually took the lead in that game. We did win, but it gave them the opportunity to come back. We got a little bit conservative at times with play calling in this game. Now, Georgia, very good at making adjustments at halftime. We saw that a couple weeks ago when they played Tennessee. They did a good job of adjusting to the screen passes that we were trying to throw, and it took us a little bit of time to try and generate some more offensive production late in that game to eventually win us the game. But we didn't score any points in the second half, which there's a good and bad to that. Offense did enough in the first half to help us win that game by putting up 24, but we didn't score points in the second half is the negative. So that has to improve. Slightly, not negative, but slightly conservative play calling there, I think, from Ryan Grubb and his offense. But you're also playing Georgia, so it's not like you can move the ball at will. I think that's going to be it for the offense. Now, for the defensive side of the ball, a ton of positives. First things first, we got in the backfield. That was the number one thing we had to do in this game. We had to create tackles for loss. We had to disrupt the quarterback. We did a great job of that. We got 7 tackles for loss, and that included 1 sack. LT Overton, huge shout out. Got the biggest stop of the game. Georgia going down, driving. They're in field goal range. Go for it on 4th and 1. LT Overton does just enough to take down the running back on the backfield, flips it over on down. So defense came up huge when they needed to. They played in moments like the offense. They played and they won the moments that they needed to win, and it was just enough. They got stops when it mattered. We created enough pressure on the quarterback at times. We got a ton of tackles for losses. Now, and we won the turnover battle. So all that together, huge for us. And I said it to somebody on Instagram. We won by 3 points. Defense went and got the turnover, and the offense immediately gets 3 points. So in a way, defense scored 3. I quantify it as the defense scored 3 for us there, essentially. And the 3 was enough to win us the game. So huge shout out to the defense. Huge shout out to Bray Hubbard. The dude got so much flack after that FSU game. And again, rightly slow. Kind of like the Ryan Williams thing, where you know what this guy can do. You know the level he can play to, and they don't do it. Whether it's ability or effort. The problem with Bray was it looked more like an effort thing. But dude has come back firing. Got a couple interceptions against Wisconsin, a couple interceptions against ULM. Got a huge fumble, a huge forced fumble against Georgia this week. 9 tackles, 5 solo, and a forced fumble. He was a leading tackler on the team. He played with effort. He hustled. He was everywhere on the field. The dude is so impressive. When he can play like that, and he can week to week, he is so impressive. He should be genuinely on everybody's draft board. But we'll talk about that as the year goes on. But the dude is immensely impressive. He's definitely, I would call him the leader of that defense, along with Deontay Lawson. The fact that he took on a bunch of criticism and now stepped up, making plays happen, getting turnovers. He's won me over. Dude is as good as they come. Best safety in the SEC. Let's talk about, okay. Also, we talk about third down efficiency for the offense. Let's talk about third down efficiency for the defense. Bama went 13 for 19 on third down. Georgia went 2 for 8 on third down and 0 for 1 on the 1/4 down. They got stops when it mattered. There were times in this game Georgia was down on the goal line. Yeah, they scored, but there was some BS penalty. That defense bowed their neck. They made stops. They played tough. They played physical, and they matched Georgia on physicality. I mean, Georgia's a tough team. That offensive line, the running backs, the quarterback, man, they're all tough. Bama stepped up. We played level for level with them as far as physicality goes, ability, execution. We got the stops when it mattered, and it won us the football game. That defense went out there late in the game, got 2 stops in the 4th quarter where they could have gone down the field and kicked a field goal to tie it. The offense was struggling to move the ball at times. But the defense, they went out and they got stops when it mattered. It felt like an old school Alabama defense. It really did. And shout out to them for all of them for taking on the criticism that they did from week 1 and going out and improving into this team that we see now. It's like the offense, man. It just doesn't look like the same team. So huge credit to them. There were a few negatives. Also, I want to talk about the penalties as well. There was a stat came out there that we had less penalties than our opponents for the first time in however many games. 4 for 16 on Bama, 6 for 68 on Georgia was the penalty count. Now we go into the negatives. I listened to Kane Womack's press conference talking about the explosive plays that Georgia had hit on Bama, the explosive run plays. He put out a stat that I thought was quite interesting. So Out of 26 runs, we gave up 55 yards against Georgia. It's pretty good for us. Good efficiency stopping the run game. In 6 carries, they got 171 yards. In 6 carries, they got 50 more yards than we did on our entire run game, which was 39 carries. So what that tells me is we didn't give up we gave up one big pass, but overall we did a good job of containing the pass. But there's some things whenever teams, and most of it was outside. It was outside of the tackles. They have a tough run defense, or they have a tough run game. They've improved massively from last season, but whenever they get outside of the tackles, we really struggle to tackle them at times. And they got big guys, but we got to be able to step up and make hits when it matters. You can't get busted 6 times for 171 yards. They had that one little end around reverse. And this goes into my next point is eye discipline. And Kane Womack said it in the press conference. I was listening to it while I was doing show notes. Talking about eye discipline. And if you go back and you watch that play that we got busted on the fake end around, guy goes around, Keon Sabb sees the guy pulling from the other end and tries to get everybody to go that way to follow the guy who ended up never having the ball. Everybody slides and there's nobody to cover that back end. And there was a few times that happened during the game. It was both eye discipline and gap discipline where 2 guys trying to hit the same gap at one time. Not really covering the outside of the tackles. Corners and safeties got blocked at times where we kind of just absorbed blocks and didn't get off them as quickly as we could have maybe. And again, Georgia's big, they're physical, they're going to run the ball against you. That was one thing I accepted coming into this game, where if we could match their run game, we'd be in good shape, but it was always going to be a bit of a struggle. But getting bit 6 times for 171, kind of a negative, especially whenever we have Vanderbilt coming in this upcoming week, who also has a lot of eye candy, runs some really weird, tricky offensive plays, running quarterback, tough offensive line, tough running back. So it's something that we're going to have to improve on, especially this week. It's going to be a big test of can we adapt and can we fix all those little bitty problems that really turn into huge problems against Georgia. So that's going to be a big test for the defense. I talked about it too. We struggled with tackling at times. Kane Womack said it early on in his this year and talked about we don't close space quite as well as we could before we go in for tackles. Instead of taking that extra step towards a guy, we kind of try and lunge in there and arm tackle. We did that a lot this week, and it clearly showed that that's not what we need to do going forward. I think that we had a couple of missed tackles there that where we could have busted up plays in the backfield. Instead, they fall forward for 4 or 5 yards, and it can create problems going forward as well. Again, with a team like Vanderbilt coming this week. But overall for the defense, hugely positive, big improvements for both sides of the ball. If you look at it and said, that's the same team that played at FSU, I would never believe you. So huge shout out to them. Huge shout out to Kane Womack and Ryan Grubb and Kalen DeBoer for getting this team turned around. There is one thing that it's kind of a under the radar problem, but it's concerned me for the past couple of years, and that's special teams. We had one field goal that was good after we got the forced fumble, but then we also saw we'll call it a tough effort on a field goal attempt from Bama. It was a shank, essentially. And we saw it a couple weeks ago also. Gave up a big play in the special teams. Wisconsin ran one back for a touchdown. There have been a couple of times in these past couple of years, whether it's penalties, giving up big busted plays, struggling, I would say, with field goals. With Will Riker in the past couple of years, we haven't struggled with field goals, but teams of old have definitely struggled with field goals. So I'll be curious to see how our special teams does going forward. I would say both weeks against Wisconsin and against Georgia, they were a bit of a negative. I would give it a C- or a D+ in special teams, where we punted well. We did okay with punt coverage, but we've given up we've given away points in the way of a field goal, and we also got busted for 7 against Wisconsin. So that's gonna be something I want to look at going forward, and hopefully we can tighten up a little bit. I think that's it for the show. I want to leave you with this, and I know a ton of people have said it, but I am proud of this team. This team, from the embarrassment that happened week 1 against FSU. And it was an embarrassment. It was horrible to watch. The embarrassment that happened week 1 to now in week 5, you have wiped that away. You have given yourself a new life. Whenever you go in and you're down one game and you haven't played Georgia yet, you can go ahead and usually mark 2 losses on the calendar. But this team has given themselves new life. The improvement, the execution, the preparation, the focus, all of it, it looks like a completely different ball club. And full credit to them, full credit to DeBoer, full credit to Grubb and Womack. We have problems. Yes, every team does. There is no team this year that looks downright dominant. So it is open season on whoever wants to go out there and prove that they can be the best team, prove they can make the improvements and the adjustments. And if we keep improving like this week to week, there is no team that I do not think we can beat. I said it to the people I was watching the game with. I was at my family's, and that first, we'll call it the first 25 minutes, I don't think there's any team in the country that beats us. The ceiling for this team is so incredibly high. And we said at the beginning of the season, the ceiling for this team is the national championship. It's a dominating national championship run. We saw the floor in week 1. We've seen the top echelon of what we can achieve in that first half against Georgia. And I want to see us continue to do that. We saw last year we got on a super big high after beating Georgia and we crashed and burned the next week. So I want to see us take this and improve it week to week. We did it after ULM. We improved when we played Wisconsin. Now we improved again when we played Georgia. Let's go out and put on an even better performance against Vanderbilt. Go out, let Ty throw the ball freely. We're at home. It's a revenge game. It's going to be emotional. It's going to be one of those games where Vanderbilt's going to want to dig their teeth in and say, you know what? We can still go out there and we can be your kryptonite, but Bama's got to go out there and remind people that we're still Alabama. We did that this week. We have to go do it next week also. So I think that's what the team needs to carry forward. And we will do a Bama Vanderbilt preview game, but that's the feeling that this team has to have going forward. We did an Instagram live after the game and talked about it, where we have 24 hours to celebrate. That 24 hours is over. It's time to prep now, move on. Yes, we beat Georgia. We've given ourselves new life, but you cannot take it for granted now. We played very well when our backs were against the wall. We had everything to lose if we lose this game. If we lose this game, our playoff hopes are essentially dashed. But with our backs against the wall, we went out. We played 3 fantastic football games in a row. Let's continue to do that. Vanderbilt is not the team that they have been in the past, so let's go out and prove that we're not the same team from week 1. We're the team that played against Georgia. We're the team that played against Wisconsin, and we're the team that played against ULM. That first weekend, that was the outlier. Now this is the standard going forward. So that's the challenge I hope that DeBoer and company are putting to this team. Again, I'm proud of them. I hope that they can continue to improve week to week, and we'll find out this weekend. We play Vanderbilt, but we will do a full Vanderbilt preview game. Glad to be back. Sorry for a little bit of the absence in these past couple of weeks. It's been a busy few weeks, but hopefully you guys have enjoyed the show. Please hit that like, subscribe, and the follow button. Hit the little bell notification so you know when we go live, because we'll probably just change this up. We have done some live shows in the past for preview shows, but we'll probably still do it for like film study and for press conferences, things like that. So hopefully you guys enjoyed. I will see you guys. It should be on Friday. Hope you guys have a good week, and Roll Tide.